Hello everyone, David here with Model Fit Training Systems, and I wanted to talk about Jiu Jitsu After 50. So you know a little bit about me. I train at Paragon Jiu Jitsu in Ventura. I've been there for about 4 years. I have been training over 5 years Jiu Jitsu, and I have gotten hurt, of course, here and there, and that's kind of one of the perils of being an older guy and training Jiu Jitsu after 50 because injuries are part of the game, but we'll get into that in a minute. Anyway, I've been a personal trainer now for about 16 years, lots and lots of experience with all types of athletes. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because I see that there might be a couple things missing from some of the other videos that I wanted to touch on. So the number one thing that I think is something you should consider when starting jiu-jitsu at the age of 50, and before I even start that, I should have said this: yes, do it. If you are having, should I do it, should I not do it? If you're 40 years old, 50 years old, a little bit older than that, I would say just do it. I know of people who've started jiu-jitsu past 60 years old, and tell you what, if you're in the right academy, it's not going to matter how old you are. You just have to have realistic expectations. So definitely start jiu-jitsu no matter where you're at in your fitness journey. If it's part of the evolution of something new, or if it's something that you are just going to focus on one thing, and that's going to be jiu-jitsu, I would say do it. But anyway, frequency. So most academies have either a program for 2 or 3 times a week, or then unlimited. I would say that if you are brand new to this, you have no grappling experience, you've never taken martial arts at all, I would say start with 2 times a week. The main reason is because you really don't know what you're getting into, and unless you already wrestled or something like that, there's really no telling how your body's going to respond to it. Again, if you're 50 years old or older, you're going to experience lots of soreness, lots of fatigue, and your recovery is going to be necessary. So I would say 2 times a week. Most classes are set up for an hour and a half or 2 hours. I would say do your best to be able to hang in there for the entire time, and make sure that you're making the best of it, and that you are definitely pay attention, and you're linking up with people who are there for the same reasons you are, and that is learning self-defense and learning how to master the art of jiu-jitsu. Try not to get too bogged down in being the quick to learn everything. You want to make sure that you're learning things as they come to you, but you don't want to push the issues, because you want to definitely have some understanding of the game of jiu-jitsu and the sport of jiu-jitsu. Something else that I'd like to bring up, or the number 2, is rolling partners or sparring partners. Now, I'm a smaller guy, I'm 5'6", and I weigh about 165. So when I roll with other white belts that are my size and bigger, because most of them are bigger, I'm okay. I do okay against people who are at my experience level and a little bit bigger than me. So if I weigh 165, I rolled with guys that are over 200 pounds and been okay. But what you have to be careful is when you're rolling with people who are blue belts and up, and who are treating you as if you're kind of maybe a plaything or a toy, meaning they're trying to rough you up instead of trying to help you learn. You have to really be careful with that. It's not anything about their age or anything like that. It just has to do with their attitude. So be very observant when you're at the academy, and maybe the first couple of weeks that you're there, maybe you don't roll at all. You just kind of watch things, you observe it, and you see who the good training partners are, and then you partner up with those guys and gals that you think are going to be good mentors to you, and not just trying to thrash you and submit you, and then you go home feeling beat up. It's going to happen anyway, but what you don't want is the people who are trying to help you just beating your ass and abusing you, because that's very discouraging. I come from a background of fitness. I was in the Marine Corps for 10 years. I have a little bit of intestinal fortitude where I get beat up and it's not a big problem. I don't really let it discourage me. My sons wrestle, so my sons now are beating me up in jiu-jitsu because they just have so much of a background of wrestling and grappling. So my ego is in check. But sometimes when you go to one of these things and you're not really sure what to expect, or you're a big, strong guy and you're expecting to get, be able to handle things or handle people, a lot of times you're in for a rude awakening. So just make sure that you get the good training partners and that you also have your ego in check. Now, Number 3 would be drilling or practicing, whether it's on your own or with a good partner. Somebody might be a higher belt than you and has been doing it for a couple of years. You definitely are going to need to practice outside of the academy or in the academy on an open mat. Don't just go to jiu-jitsu and spar and take the lesson, or take the lesson and spar. Don't just do that. You're not going to actually learn much that way, because when you drill, then you learn the nuances of hand positioning, elbow positioning, posture, all these things. When you're just trying to survive a 5 or 6 minute roll, there's really no learning going on there. At least I've not seen that that's how it goes. I usually see where you have to kind of practice some things. You have to understand foot placement, setting up moves, where your hips are, where your hands are, and different things like that. So the best thing would be to find an opportunity where you can drill. And I'm talking about drill, not sparring, not light sparring, but straight drilling, where you're practicing moves. You're going through the different elements of a move, setting up an arm bar, setting up a certain type of sweep, setting up takedowns, different things like that, arm drags and hand fighting. You want to be drilling and practicing those things. And you want to do that for at least 2 hours a week. Because if you have a dream or a goal like I do of one day becoming a black belt, it's going to take some time, and it's not going to happen in 2 classes a week or even 3 classes a week without any kind of sparring or drilling or any other kind of extracurricular stuff. It's kind of like if you're going to school, you can't learn everything you need to know in the classroom only. You're going to have to do some research. You're going to have to seek understanding on your own terms. And I would say that that's probably one of the better things to do, is link up with a good training partner, a good drilling partner, and learn some good moves, learn the proper setups for those moves. Okay, the 4th thing I would say is private training lessons, private sessions with your professor or any other black belts or brown belts or even purple belts that are willing to help you along the way. So this would be in the course of like private instruction. I would say do that at least 2 times a month for the first 3 months. When I started doing that, it completely changed my understanding of things, and I was able to see things as they were coming to me with the different setups, people setting me up for certain movements, and I was able to learn about my bad habits. Because when you're rolling with somebody and you're sparring with them and they're trying to get you, you're trying to get them, if you mess up, they're not going to tell you. They're usually just going to take advantage of your screw up. So I would say that you definitely want to be partnered up with somebody, pay them that money that they deserve, and drill with them and spar with them and let them instruct you on exactly how you should be doing certain things. This way you're learning. So it's not going to be necessarily you just paying them to do an hour of kicking your butt. It's you paying them an hour for their work of showing you how to do these specific things. And then, of course, they'll let you practice on them. And when you do it wrong, they'll kind of punish you a little bit, but not a lot. But you're going to get the right feel for the movements, and you're going to really start to absorb a lot more. And like I said, I've done this, and it definitely helped with my learning curve, and it opened my eyes to some of the things I was doing wrong. When it comes to jiu-jitsu, it's one of those things where you're going to go to class for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and a lot of it is you just trying to get through a sparring session, you trying to get through that 5 or 6 minute roll. And there's a lot of consequence for failure there. There's really no rewards in this system. If you submit somebody, great, but most of the time, if you're new, you're going to get submitted. Strength training is, without a doubt, one of the most valuable things that you could do, because it's, first of all, you can control every element of it, and you can make progress that you can keep track of. So for example, if you're doing barbell squats and today you can squat 135 pounds and you stick to it for a few weeks, few months, and down the road you go from being able to squat 135 times 10 to 165 times 10, that's a known number. You can write it down, you know that you did it, and plus you know that having physical strength is going to be something that you can take with you back to jiu-jitsu, and you can get stronger. Because what you don't want to do, especially as a 50 plus or 40 plus year old person, is solely rely on the sport of jiu-jitsu to get you in shape, and that's the only way you do that. Because for me, what I've learned is, and I've learned this by training people who are competitive jiu-jitsu practitioners, is that when you go to jiu-jitsu and maybe you run into a problem with a knee, gets tweaked, or elbow or something like that, going back a couple of days later probably is not the best thing to do. The best thing to do would probably be to do a systems check by going to the gym and squatting, lunging, doing some exercises that let you know if your body's okay or not. You don't want to just go back into the lion's den and get thrashed again, or start doing a bunch of, forward rolls, backward rolls, break falls and all that stuff, just to realize that you probably shouldn't be at class. You should probably have rested that day. So by doing some strength training, some work like that, what you'll do is you'll have not only get yourself stronger and stronger for these younger guys that you're going to be facing, but you also are just doing a really good system check, and you're building your body so that not every time you work out is you having to do these moves that are new to you. It's something that's a little bit more familiar, and it's a little bit more structured, and it's something that you can absolutely write down and say, yes, I'm getting stronger. It's hard to do that with jiu-jitsu. As soon as you get better, somebody else is getting better. So by writing down your workouts and working out with weights, you're able to not only get stronger, but know that you're getting better and making progress. Okay, now conditioning and cardio. There's a big difference between the two, and I think that if you go to jiu-jitsu enough, you'll see that conditioning has a bigger role in your success than cardio. So to separate the two, conditioning would be things where you're taking movements and you're ramping up the intensity by making something that's either some sort of circuit or some sort of high intensity sprinting type of movement, where it requires not just the fact that you can breathe through it and have good cardio, good lungs, good to be able to take in air and control your heart rate, but it's also something that requires a certain amount of physical prowess or skill. So for example, simply running is not enough, but running is also something that should be done. So for example, conditioning might be a kettlebell workout that involves jump rope and maybe some sprinting. I'm not going to go into the specifics of it, but what I'm saying is you want something to match the intensity of rolling that's not rolling. So for example, if all you do is roll, again, if you're not that good yet, you're going to get thrashed, and there's really no reward for that. But if you have a workout program where it involves kettlebell swings, jump ropes, sit-ups, box jumps, or anything like that, rope climbs, battle ropes, all that stuff, and the heart rate that you achieve in a 5-minute period of doing some sort of circuit is similar or greater than the heart rate you achieve when you're actually rolling, that's conditioning. Cardio, which is also valuable, is where you might go on a bike ride or a run or a swim. So if you're gonna run 2 miles, you write down 2-mile run and you run it, and say it takes you 18 minutes. Okay, cool, 18 minutes. Now you get a little bit faster, and now it takes you 16 minutes, and then you start running 3 miles, and now you're running 3 miles in 26 minutes, and you're trying to get that down to a little bit lower. That's your conditioning. That's where you're checking your breathing. You're making sure that you're able to control your heart rate, control your breathing. That's how you know if you're getting in better shape or not. That's how you can regulate your heart rate when you're in that tough roll with that young buck who's trying to smash you, because now he sees you're getting a little bit better, and now he's going to take it to you a little bit more. So conditioning is more of your high intensity stuff, and cardio is more of your sustained heart rate stuff, where you're able to manage your breathing, manage your timing. And I would recommend that if you're going to do cardio, that you do not do this on a machine like a treadmill or an elliptical. I would say you get out there in the real world and you go for a run, you go for a swim, or you ride a bike or something like that, because your body knows the difference, and it's going to reward you at a higher rate. Yes, it's a little bit harder to do, but it's going to reward you at a higher rate when you're out there on the pavement or in the water doing something, or on the road on your bike. So if you like what you heard, please like and subscribe. I'm going to keep putting videos up like this, because as my journey goes on and on, I will always touch base and let you guys know how things are going and how it might help you with your journey. So again, if you're a 40 plus, 50 plus years old and you're wondering, should you do it? Do it. Just get out there, find a great academy. Maybe you try a couple out, but don't be one of those people that jumps from academy to academy back and forth. That also sucks. Find a good academy, find some good people, and hopefully you find some good training partners, and it's something that fits right into your lifestyle and really helps you on your journey towards black belt. Thanks a lot. We'll see you again next time.